It would be difficult to find anyone with roots in sports information who could match the legacy and contributions represented on the resume of Joe Mitch. He was a fixture in college athletics for 50 years, including 27 with the Missouri Valley Conference before retiring in 2012. Mitch served as SID at 3 institutions: Illinois Chicago Circle, Dayton, and St. Louis. He was also on the sports information staff at Southern Illinois before joining the Metro Conference in 1976. He worked 44 straight NCAA Final Fours during his tenure in the conference office, and he also served as media relations officer for numerous international competitions. Mitch impacted the game of college basketball as he spent 36 years as executive director of the United States Basketball Writers Association, helping grow that organization from a group of 200-plus members to more than 900 journalists. Among his honors, Mitch has earned CoSIDA's Lifetime Achievement Award, the Cliff Wells Appreciation Award from the NABC, and he was recently inducted into the USBWA Hall of Fame. Congratulations, another Hall of Fame honor for Joe Mitch.
Well, first I want to thank CoSIDA for selecting me for its Hall of Fame. I'm humbled and I'm honored. CoSIDA has provided a foundation for my career, and I'll be forever grateful to the organization. They've asked me to talk about some of my memorable moments in my career, and I'd have to say the number one game during the season in 1979 was the Larry Bird versus Magic Johnson game for the national championship that was held in Salt Lake City. Bird came in as the National Player of the Year, and Magic Johnson captured all sorts of attention. A lot of it due to the fact that he has a name that was unique, Magic. I served as media coordinator in the 1978 Final Four in St. Louis, and that was really special to be given that assignment. I worked numerous other NCAA tournaments as media coordinator, and I always will look back upon those events and those games. Very special to me. The Metro Conference in 1977 was selected to form a all-star team, and we played games overseas in Europe and Russia, and it was quite an experience. Sue and I were part of the group that made the trip over, and to be able to say you were part of that experience, playing games against national teams in Europe and Russia, was again very, very special. The game of the century in football for the national championship, Notre Dame and Michigan State in 1965. Notre Dame ended up being selected as the number one national team, but it was a game that had a lot of hype. Notre Dame finished as the number one team. The game ended in a tie, and Parsegian, as the coach, was criticized for going for the tie rather than going for the win. I had an experience of going to the press conference the week before the game in South Bend. The press conference was held on the Notre Dame campus, and it had a lot of writers from across the country attending the conference. I asked a question to Coach Parsegian, and I was a student at Michigan State as a sophomore. And I said, Coach, how do you plan to counter Michigan State's great defense? And they were the number one defensive team in the country. And Coach Parsegian didn't like the question. He stood up, slammed his fist on his desk, and pointed to me and said, Mitch, you are a spy for Michigan State. I said, no, Coach, I'm a sports writer. And that got some attention, media attention, but I look back upon that event as a highlight in my career. one of the highlights, I should say. Some accomplishments that came my way, I actually look upon those as being opportunities. Worked with the NCAA a lot on developing policies for the media, and I felt really honored to be asked to be a part of that group. I was involved in developing a corporate sponsorship program for the Missouri Valley Conference, and we were one of the few conferences that that sold sponsorships in-house, and it helped us attract some major national corporate sponsors that really helped us get our network off the ground, our television network off the ground. And I think the experience I gained selling story ideas to the media helped me sell sponsorships to corporations. And that was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but something that really was quite special to me to be able to say that I was a part of this program. The USBWA started a postseason awards dinner. In 1978, I think, was the first year we did it, and it featured honoring the Player of the Year, both men's and women's, Coach of the Year, Freshman of the Year, and it got a lot of national attention. It was held in St. Louis, hosted by the Missouri Athletic Club, and it was a sellout every year. And I'm hoping that we will be able to bring this event back to St. Louis again this year. What advice can I give students? CoSIDA asked me to talk about that a little bit, and I think the key is to gain experience as a student in sports information and sports writing. I know that helped me secure a job once I finished college, and if there's any opportunity at all for you as students to gain experience, please do that, because it will help you down the road. I had a student at Missouri State that was wanting to get into this profession, and he asked me to help him. And before we hired him on a part-time basis, he would call me and ask for my advice on various things. And we eventually hired him as a student, and then he went on to receive, or to be given, or to he was awarded a job at New Mexico State. So get experience, and that will help you down the road. In my career, I had two full-time jobs, basically. For 36 years, I was Associate Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, and then Executive Director of the USBWA. And people ask me how I could take on full-time jobs, two full-time jobs, and it was really just a labor of love. I just really enjoyed working with writers and helping them do their job, and it really was just a neat experience, and being able to do that, I really loved it. So that was not hard for me at all, because it was something that I really wanted to do, and I appreciate the conferences that I work for, giving me the latitude to work for the USBWA as well as the Missouri Valley. Who are individuals that helped me along the way? Well, I want to thank the presidents of the organization. They provided the leadership and the support, and were there whenever I needed them. And I will really want to recognize those individuals, and there's just so many of them that I do want to say that early on in my career, there were 4 or 5 individuals who were keys to the work that I was doing for the organization. Bob Hamill, Dave Dorr, Steve Guback, Bill Brill, Larry Donald. Steve Guback gave a $100,000 gift to the organization for student scholarships, and we were really, really thankful for Steve doing that. There was one individual that I wanted to single out, Langston Rogers, and thank him for moving my name forward for the Hall of Fame. Langston and I go way back to when both of us were SIDs. I was at University of Illinois, Chicago, and Langston was at Delta State, Mississippi. And we both wanted to do some work in scheduling. Normally, an SID wouldn't do that, but the school at Illinois, Chicago, gave me the clearance to go ahead and do that. And so Langston and I talked about putting a game together, and we had one down in Mississippi. And it didn't go too well for my school, University of Illinois, Chicago. At halftime, the score was 56-0, and they tell me that they ran out of gunpowder when they shot off cannons. They ran out of gunpowder. The game ended up being 84-0, and I was embarrassed. And as I remember, we were boarding the plane. Someone from Delta State came up and said, "Now you all come back now here." And so anyhow, I look back upon that not as a memorable moment, but one that stuck in my mind as having been a part of who I am. So thank you, CoSIDA, and thank you, Missouri Valley, for giving me these opportunities.
From the Missouri Valley Conference and USBWA, Joe Mitch.